15 minutes after 8, happy morning show or ETV, happy 98.9 FM. You're more about it's been an exciting morning from 5:30. We've been discussing all morning. Your thoughts, your views, your comments have played a very important role in our discussions. Now, on Susuno, Aquina say you win a beautiful prize this morning. I've been talking about it the entire morning. Your future, my future, it's for all of us. Corporately, we have a responsibility to ensure so we attain the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I've been telling you all morning as a young businessman, as a startup, you have the opportunity to learn a lot from the Business and Financial Times. Not just learning from the Business and Financial Times, but learning from Professor Douglas Boateng. And then when I'm a guest, I know Edin Komo. Now, yaji a few ideas from him. This whole concept of your future, my future, the promotion of the idea of corporately building something good in our country, Ghana. And then you know Edin Komo. Now, yaji thoughts on this matter. Then you'll be afforded the opportunity to call in. And then we'll ask you a few questions. I told you said this morning. So for Business and Financial Times now, page 8, the write up now and I pay Okasafa total acquisition cost of ownership explained and to store on and I'll ask you questions based on the story that has been written this morning in the Business and Financial Times. But Professor Douglas Boateng, founder of My Future, Your Future, Our Future, an initiative that focuses on galvanizing the youth to focus on national development, especially when it comes to supply chain management and sourcing. I mean, say, Brofono, you move your eye papa. Enti so mo e go apono sana na confusion ya bem kakara ba enti e no hanum se ya wo be cheche mu e dia man. Prof, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
You makwaba eba jumedi so.
This me mama kwaba any audience ni nyina.
Bibia
say dey be kind of bofu ni twi.
You dey fafa. Bofu ni e bi hono ma e den kakara man enti no na ma cheche mu e dia man. But make kasana me introduce I made mention of supply chain management and sourcing.
Supply chain management and sourcing basically focuses on how you buy things and how you coordinate activities within the value chain. Okay. And basically, the way our supply chain, everyone say it helps to break down silos. Okay. And more recently, it's become a tool for long-term development. It is already a precedent and in the government and they are thinking more long-term how they can use supply chain principles and we hear 1D, 1F, but we need to find a way of harnessing it and supporting our own. Intina, you must start education or paper to talk about the issue of strategic sourcing. Every week be an BFT to try and galvanize the youth, especially women, to see how they can use their power of strategic sourcing to support our own and also create jobs for the next generation.
And that when see a couple professors, those times thank you, Shani per Uluman for Nkwani be home. But I see a very young man in front of me as a professor. Who is Professor Douglas Boateng?
Professor Douglas Boateng, a proud Ghanaian, but a Pan-Africanist who believes that I've been living in South Africa, and I realized he said, before if we come together now, we have the power to really change the continent and the fortunes of the next generation. Africa, as we are 1.187 billion people. But we are in if you think Africa now, your market is 1.1 billion, which is virtually the same as China. It's an economic giant. But we are not harnessing the power because of the silo thinking they have. And it's been my mission over the last 15 years to see, let's break down the barriers and let's work as one people and be able to build a better future for the African child. So from 2007, this is what I've been doing over the continent.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. We will come to the point about the driving force behind the decision to go this tangent to say you want to educate us, you want to galvanize the people, saying you need to harness it, not only just your resources, but the brain power of the Ghanaian and the African for that matter. But I couldn't help but notice, me call Prof, and I was doing a little background check on you. I realized we are non-executive chair and the Public Procurement Authority. A lot of people, when it comes to the supply chain process now, the procurement bit, sometimes people don't really focus a bit of attention on it. But yeah, you the role that procurement plays in this whole conversation that we're having, and the role you play at the Public Procurement Authority.
Okay, thank you. In the after elections, now the commander-in-chief obviously appointed me, and he did it for a reason, because commander-in-chief President Nana Akufo-Addo is a very long-term thinker, and whatever he does, is basically to look at building for the next generation. So in discussions, I'm catching said the only way a bit man said we need to harness the power of procurement. So Ghana has over 90%, and now Ghana over 90% of underwear cry ye import.
Yeah.
Share socks ye import. They say underwear cry intimi and produce what hope do we have? See bitimi I industrialize it. Drinks oko shop more. Drinks why should we be importing friends orange juice? Now Ankasu Gohana Pro. Why should we be importing tomatoes? Tomatoes is also yamami produce. Now I'm going to say we need to find a way of making sure say these agricultural produce in our hand. We need to add value to it. The added value now. Na yento. Na just say the Sikana work room has say etnaha. Yes, they call out. When you say Africa as a continent, we spend more dollars outside the continent than any other continent in the world. But we say we are poor. We are not poor. It's a poverty trapper is being set, and we need to change our mindset to ensure say Nkulana they will have the hope. Say they are not poor. There's poverty, but there's a difference between poverty and being poor. Our mindset has been cocooned in such a way. We seem say we are poor, and for me, we are not poor. The resources at our disposal on the continent, because we are not harnessing the power of what I call strategic sourcing, we are not benefiting from it. Wouldn't say we be a shop more or far didn't come ready free, and once offer driven by price. Now, there's what is I call the short-term gain, long-term pain. And you money Ghana for statistical mode a producer. We need to compete because they don't have economies of scale. Why not a shop? No afar then what was is this made in Africa or made in Ghana or is made from China or from Europe? So say na yes ama say kwanya money produce no hano. We don't believe say papa. Into ko shop na kwa kotadia I hope say my vacation say we dey free UK, we dey free Ghana. And for me, that mindset needs to change. Okamakola. Any me go home ya mun konkoshe me kokoshe. What percentage any free Ghana made in Ghana? We has a quality ninya na am say na quality ninya say one to bebe na ama wo no bia a bono cry or stroke kakra no e better no matimi improve because it needs investment. And this is what I call strategic sourcing. Don't just buy. Look at the implications for your own children. We've made those mistakes in the past. Let's not keep repeating it. And now President Nana Akufo-Addo person will change it for the next generation. Into 1D, 1F, ABBA. We need to find a way of changing the mindset. That is why I go on a road show to talk about, say we need to enlighten the youth. Hence, my future, your future, our future. Kotobetono, MYO. Yento krum hayani yento. Then help to produce it here near Nton. That is what industrialization is all about. That is what 1D, 1F is all about. The same old mistakes. You can't keep doing the same thing expecting a different result. We've made progress. Slow progress is better than no progress. But the current government in Nana Akufo-Addo, because of their long-term thinking, move forward kakra. It will get to a point that there will be it can't be reversed. And this is what our children need.
Mindset revolution, where do we start from as a nation?
It's about making people aware. And Kolana, if you made them aware, now they listen. And it has to be a continuous thing, not just once off. So, and I've been engaging with them, and I see that they listen. They want a better future for themselves. They are hungry. It's just that they need to be told. So what catch them say dear we know. Oko let's oko koto. Let's the alternative near from Ghana no. But Modiana at the end of the day, no, she's obetimi. I support the Ghana on it because it's creating job for you. Sure, yes, I know. There were so many industries. Across on book. But I say in the suffering. There we produce combi for chroma. Near produce Thomas. Near produce radio. Sanyo. Nina away.
President.
Nina ako. Why? Because Yajun has been cocooned in such a way, say. Yankoto adie phone. Adie force so the neba the consequences eba. Wo support to die no a kakra no. Price no be cut down. Short-term thinking is the enemy of long-term success. Let's start building for tomorrow.
Senior be achieve sa goals. I would want for us to have a proper intellectual conversation about this because it's important. I'm thinking about the various trade agreements yes sign as of mine. I'm thinking about conventions worldwide. I'm thinking about, for instance, Nigeria looking at the kind of importation they do, rice and coal, and then they decide to go the protectionist way for their local farmers to grow more rice. And then the feedback that comes from its neighboring countries like Ghana say, why are you protecting and shielding your industry when there is a treaty or a trade agreement between all of us in the sub-region? I'm thinking about the agreements we have with Europe, where their goods are coming in and our goods are supposed to go there. I'm thinking about the flexibility of having our products one day surface on the European market and say, Montobi.
Yes, it will happen. By the way, I'm not advocating for protectionism. I'm advocating for fairness. Yes, here the Nyaman Beko Europe. You could draw, I say there's something called quality. I send it in near the room. But the raw materials no cordia is okay. But all the finished goods no corner value added ones, you know, it's so complex. I believe in fairness, and the only way for us to be able to compete, you know, is to be able to gradually and think long term and build a quality standard. Now, we tend to be so fixated with going to Europe. Africa is 1.1 billion people. Even within our continent, you know, there's a market. Hence, they've come up with AFTA, which says basically, let's trade among ourselves. But we need to be creative and innovative in coming up with old systems that work for us. We like to adopt rather than adapt systems from the emerging world. If we are assuming the upper, we'll be determined now. And this is what has been happening in Africa. Our future is being determined by somebody else. I believe it's about time we sit back and take stock and then basically determine what is good for us. AFTA is very good. And the key to this is supply chain management and strategic sourcing. There are two aspects of strategic sourcing. You have the industrial one. Equipment here we need to import it. But when it comes to basic consumer items, you know, it drives demand within the value chain. For me, I don't see why Ghana and Ivory Coast, we are supposed to be the top two consumers of the top two producers of cocoa in the world. But look at our consumption of chocolate.
Yeah,
it doesn't even register on the Richter scale. We can create a demand in ourselves and then basically benefit from it as a continent and as a country. For me, you know, the best of Ghana is ahead of us. We haven't seen nothing yet. Yes, we've lost a lot of resources, but with the right leadership, now they say, you know, the future looks very, very good. But the youth and especially women have a role to play in really building a better future and economically emancipating, you know, ourselves from our own and sometimes, you know, created poverty. We are not poor as people. It's our mindset. Poverty has been created and we can change it with our resources.
Time no I but your future, my future, that concept we say, what is it geared at?
is geared at basically galvanizing the youth. And Kulano Amabano, any middle age, let's all come together. Let's support what the government is doing. The future looks bright. The best of Ghana is ahead of us. How do we do it? It's a collective effort. Sometimes we also need to look at ourselves and see what contribution are we making to try and correct some of these unfortunate errors. And the poverty trap now has been created. So the plan is to galvanize the current generation to basically help to move the continent and Ghana forward. The best is ahead of us, and it can only be realized if we work together and support what the government is doing.
Prof, me do asano pay. Wo me nchen die. Mama ya se menya amanfo a ombebowa ahomane so a. You know mbedi nkomane ebisa mo enne piece a wo choe total acquisition cost of ownership explained our business and Financial Times newspaper ni mo.